So number 5 on my list is the third of the trilogy of two-parters. That is the Green Ranger Burai story, and that is episodes 21 and 22. Burai joins the Zyurangers. This is the episode in which we are introduced to, or the two episodes in which we are introduced to the Spirit of Life, Clotho. We're introduced to the plot device that is the Timeless Room and the candle that's dwindling down, which signals Burai's death. We are introduced to the Jiu Soken, his dagger slash flute. We are introduced to Dragon Caesar, which I will talk about in a moment. All of that shit that goes on, and then in the second half, we finally get to see him and Geki resolve their differences, and he becomes the official sixth member of the team.
We get to see them have a proper fight. Number one,
straight up fight, and in the end,
one on one, fully morphed, they fight.
and the great part about it is Geki actually wins the fight in the end.
He
And
does.
Daijujin orders him to kill Burai, and Geki says no.
I think deservedly so after he like slaughters children in that city with Dragon Caesar.
That's neither here nor there. Zyuranger.
And adults, Dylan. Not just kids died in that. Adults died too, so you should care a little bit.
Yeah. Uh, what I'm saying is, it's beside the point I'm trying to make here. Zyuranger. Daijujin commands that Geki kill Burai. And Geki's like, nah, I ain't doing it, man. Fuck you, God. I ain't doing it. Uh, Burai then jumps up and is about to kill Geki. And Geki's like, just do it, bro. If that's the only thing that's gonna, make you sleep at night and make you a better person, just go ahead and fucking kill me. Not in those words, but something similar.
He's basically like, "This is not worth all this trouble.
It,
I can't do this anymore. Just kill me."
I think his actual quote is something to the effect of, if this is the only way to get rid of all the hatred that you have in your heart, then just go ahead and kill me.
Yeah.
I think Geki's thinking at that point that he'll like kill him and then feel really remorseful about it and maybe become the new leader of the Zyurangers or something.
I don't think I think Goshi's the one who's gonna be like, all right, you can join on a trial basis, but you kind of murdered our last leader and also like my best friend. So, I mean, fuck you, but you're not being the fucking leader, dude. That's my job after this. I sat in that dude's shadow for so many years. Barza woke me up first. Do you know how fucked up that is? Barza woke me up. I'm not even the goddamn leader of this ragtag bunch of Japanese people from the dawn
Yeah,
of time.
I like how Barza waited till the end to wake up the most important guy.
I brought that up before. Fucking Geki is the leader, and Barza wakes him up last. The leader should be woken up first to lead the team.
Anyway, so Burai
Yeah, dude.
decides that he can't bring himself to kill Geki. All of the evil is expunged from his heart, and he becomes a righteous warrior and a member of the Zyurangers. And we all golf clap and and
They pose.
and the new status quo for the show is established. Okay, so things I like about this episode. Spirit of Life Clotho, one of the creepiest characters in all of fiction.
Not evil.
Not
Not evil.
not evil, just super creepy. And because
And I like those shades of gray in the show. All the god characters are neither evil nor really good. Even the guardian beasts are like a bit like morally gray, and I really
they're
like them.
the Guardian Beasts to me are all about justice above all.
Yeah.
Even if that means, hey Geki, kill your brother. It's all about justice with them.
But I mean, it's about justice over life, even. Like, they're like, oh, sacrifice all those kids to save everybody else. It's like,
They're all about
all right, Ozymandias from Watchmen,
it's
Jesus.
because they're gods and they see the big picture. And that's what they're at.
Exactly, and that's what I mean by like morally from like a human perspective,
Clotho
gray.
is just super creepy. She is like
It
whatever it is like what happens if the kid from The Grudge joins the KKK, and
and then dies and gets Superman's powers.
it is, as the title explains, the spirit of life. She is over. I'm just gonna call it a she because I get a she feeling. Uh,
I think it's a young girl actress, so
she is over life and death, and that's really what makes it creepy about her. What makes her creepy? She's the embodiment of death in this series. She tells Burai that candle represents how much time you have left to live. You can live forever as long as you stay in this room because time has stopped in here. But as soon as you leave the room, the candle's going to start to dwindle, and once it runs out, you're fucking dead, buddy. That's what she tells him. And then she gives him Geosoken, and she says, "This can take you out of the room. It can bring you back into the room." She doesn't really explain Dragon Caesar to him at that point. He kind of figures that out on his own.
I don't think she knows about Dragon Caesar because Barza doesn't know.
She must. She's a
Yeah,
higher
but
being than Barza, though. She's like the second most godly being in the series, right under
All
Dai.
right, but Daijujin doesn't know about Dragon Caesar, or at least we don't think he does.
He must, because Dragon Caesar is a part of Ultimate Daijujin. They were once the same being.
That's true. No, but I mean like that he's like a thing that can be accessed now.
I don't know.
Otherwise, Daijujin will be like, "Hey guys, be careful. There's another guardian beast, and if it wakes up and Burai uses it for evil, we're all fucked."
Yeah. I really like this idea that Burai, because they've created a Jew Ranger who's so fucking powerful that he could just he could become the ultimate end all to the whole series. Because every episode, oh
Yes, that's a
Burai,
good point.
Burai, come do a thing, and he would just save the day. And they couldn't have that. That would ruin the whole plot of the show. So what they
That would ruin the whole struggle against the odds thing that the show has going for
So
it.
they create this plot device wherein Burai can only be used sparingly. And I like that for the reasons I just listed. Burai, he's not in all the episodes from here up until his death. He doesn't show up every time to help them beat the monster. He only shows up when they absolutely need him. And I like that. I like that plot device that was introduced there. Dragon.
Now that makes it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Go ahead because you were finishing up on the point I was just talking about. I was about to transition into something else.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was just gonna say. Well, I was gonna bring a point I've been sort of alluding to the whole time, and that it never really feels like he's an official part of the team because he spends zero time with them outside of fully being morphed and in the battles. Like he never hangs out with them afterwards, never before, and that's the point. That's the idea. I loved that.
There's a moment.
But
There's a moment in one of the episodes later on in my list. There's a moment where like Geki asks him straight up, like, Burai, why don't you want to come and live with the rest of us? Because Burai doesn't want to tell him about the whole gonna die in so many hours thing, and Burai just like he dodges the question. Clotho eventually is the one who has to tell the rest of the Jew Rangers what's up because Burai won't
yeah,
do it.
yeah, exactly. I forget when that happens, but yeah.
It's in one of the ones on my list. I'm not entirely sure. It might come back to me when we talk about him. But
Mm-hmm.
so Burai, he's sort of a mystery to the rest of the Jew Rangers. They don't know what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's also like I do wish that, and maybe I should save this for a little later. But what I was gonna say was I wish that they brought up more of their problem with him being on the team because it's never really stated, but it's kind of implied in terms of like, well, this guy just shows up and because he's your brother, all of a sudden we're just supposed to accept him. And I never really got a really solid. I don't think there was a really solid moment. And I mean, it happened. There was a moment where all of them were like, "Oh, we accept you, Burai," but it never really felt genuine.
Mm-hmm.
It never felt like they talked about it. Like I wish there would have been a scene after that where like they
I
would have
think
gone back
Geki.
to the shrine and been like, "Geki, what's going on? Like this isn't sustainable."
Yeah, I think Geki accepted him with open arms after their fight at the end of episode 22. But I think the rest of the Rangers naturally would always be sort of skeptical of this guy after what he.
But I wish they would have brought that up more.
Yeah, I think they don't they do that in Power Rangers actually.
Uh
Isn't it brought up a little bit more about how hey you were kind of evil an episode ago? That's kind of
Yeah, no, because at the end though, Tommy's more unsure of it than anybody else is.
that's true.
He's the one who's like, I was evil. I don't know if I should help you
I
guys out.
think
I feel
everyone
really
else.
bad.
I'm remembering this now. I think everyone else on the team is aware of the fact that he was under mind control by Bandor.
Yeah, no, everybody knows what happened.
So,
There's no mystery
so they're
about
kind
it.
of cool with it. And I mean, he's aware of it too, but it's just still he's trying to like reconcile everything in his own head.
I mean, he still did a lot of bad. I mean, he didn't do that. Let's be real. He didn't do anything that bad. He kidnapped Bulk and Skull, and I think that's the worst thing he
He didn't
did.
orchestrate a kaiju attack on a city like Barai.
No, he didn't. He didn't murder people. Like Burai. So it's a very different situation. And in this, I felt like there wasn't because this show talks about stuff like that, or at least addresses things like that. Maybe not in great detail, but it does get into stuff about like there isn't anything like that around it, or anything like that in the rest of the show that's really left unaddressed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing, and it's one of the few moments where I didn't really buy a shift in the story. I didn't necessarily, as much as I loved it, as triumphant as it was, as epic as it was, I didn't really buy Barai's becoming a Jew Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there had to be some more discussion, or at the very least, some more talk, or some more action, or some more. Just there should have been more of a focus on the other Jew Rangers being like, well, we did a lot of really noble shit and made a lot of sacrifices to be on this team. That guy killed a lot of people. And that was brought up before that by them, They were all like, Geki, you gotta forget about this guy. He's not your brother. We gotta stop him.
Mm.
But after that, it was like, nope, he's a Zyuranger. Let's move on.
Oh,
And because
I
his
also forgot to
presence,
mention that at the end of the episode, after Burai and Geki make nice and he becomes a member of the Zyuranger, they were then introduced to Kyoryu, which is the transformation that happens when Dragon Caesar combines with a couple of the other Zords. That's the first time we ever get to see him, and then he gets used, sporadically throughout battles. For the rest of the series, sometimes Daijujin.
they pretty much jump right. Once Dragon Caesar pops up, they pretty much jump right to that.
Yeah. Um, for the rest of the series, sometimes Daijujin gets to kill the monster, and sometimes Kyoryu gets to kill the monster, so it's kind of back and forth.
And Goryujin is so much cooler because he has a fucking drill.
A drill spear
That's so
and a
cool.
visor. Visors are awesome.
They are pretty cool.
So, were you done talking about whatever it was you were just talking about, or did you have?
I was just talking about how I had an issue with the fact that I never really bought Burai becoming a Zyuranger.
Yeah, the transition is kind of sudden, and I mean,
It's very sudden. And it's sudden in Power Rangers, too. But the difference is you have the mind control thing to fall back on in Power Rangers. You don't have that in this. Burai is straight up. He's misguided evil, but he's still evil.
yeah,
And there isn't enough discussion about his real shift to goodness. Now, I do like that, and I brought this up earlier. I do like that Burai, at the very least, shows some seeds of goodness in the flashbacks to the distant past. Like, we see him save the kid from that boulder, like you mentioned. We know that he has, so we at least see that he has a connection to children, so that when he wants to help them later, because at one point he just says straight up to Geki, and it's not in that episode that we're talking about, but it's later, where he's like, God, I just want to live with you guys and help children. That's all I want to do. And you get that that's a genuine motivation for him. And he does have a genuine motivation. Revenge is certainly one of the most understandable and relatable motivations for wrongdoing. So he's certainly got that, but it's misguided. He doesn't really listen to reason at first, so
yeah,
he kills a lot of people.
he
So
is he is
it's hard to reconcile that.
he is awfully bullheaded. Um, and that is certainly that is definitely, if there's one flaw I can say about this whole arc, it's that, yeah, the shift at the end is kind of sudden. Although I do think that the scene where Geki tells him, if this is what you got to do, fucking kill me, I think that scene
I
does.
love that scene.
I
Yeah,
think
I think
that
everything leading up to that is almost perfect.
I think that scene definitely does manage to sell the proper emotion, so that was good. Even if maybe Burai's shift comes off a bit quick. Um, so before we finish talking about these two episodes, I wanted to talk about my favorite thing in them:
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Caesar's attack on Tokyo. This is
Oh, it's so good.
this is the closest thing we will ever get to a third Showa Mechagodzilla movie, and you all know how much I love Showa Mechagodzilla.
Dylan's petting him right now.
Is he's just the best, isn't he? And Dragon Caesar does everything. He's got the finger missiles. He does the wading through buildings and being all fucking menacing. He has more of a tail than 70s Mechagodzilla does, and he uses that to dramatic effect. The Dragon Caesar attack on Tokyo is one of the best kaiju sequences I've ever seen, and it's not even in a proper kaiju movie. It's in a Super Sentai show.
And so many people die too. Oh, I would almost say that we see more people die and get hurt than we ever saw in a Godzilla movie outside of the original in GMK. Like,
Exactly.
we see people getting crushed under buildings and fucking people getting trampled, workers being caught in, I think we see people caught in explosions at one point. Just it's a tour de force of violence and
We
mayhem.
see a lot of shit. And this is one of those episodes where you cut to street level a lot, and you see people getting buried under rubble. There's rubble.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
There's one moment where Geki saves a child from some rubble. Um, so it's a great action scene. I can't
I
really.
also love how the Jew Rangers help people on the ground during monster attacks.
Yeah, that was good. Um, oh, I like everybody's shock at the fact that there's a sixth um, Guardian Beast out there.
Because there's also like the Jew Rangers are public figures, just like the Power Rangers were. They're on the news and everything. Everybody knows who they are. Not who they are identity
Yeah,
wise.
there's
Like
tons of episodes. There's tons of
whenever they use
episodes.
the Dino Blockers, everybody's like, "Oh, Jew Rangers!" It's like, well, you didn't look at the weird outfits and assume that they were Jew
Yeah, I guess
Rangers.
nobody really knows what they look like under the masks, but once they morph, everybody's like, "Oh, Zyuranger!" And then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go and fight the noodle monster or whatever it is that week.
Do you
Um,
think the Jew Rangers ever go up to like City Hall and are like, "Hey, we're really sorry about all like the death and destruction that happens on a weekly basis in our presence. We're trying to stop it."
they don't get involved with politics. They're not Superman. um,
Certainly not.
anyway, so yeah, nothing else I can really say about that.
Ah, yeah.
Dragon Caesar attack on Tokyo, fucking epic. Go watch it.
I also love I love the moment where Burai is standing on top of Dragon Caesar and he gets all cocky about fighting Geki because Geki's like, I can't forgive you now, Burai. You've gone too far.
Yeah.
And Burai is like, you were ready to fight me now, eh, Geki? He cleans off his suit and he's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And he's leaning on Dragon Caesar.
And
That's
in
so
many ways,
awesome.
this is one of the most badass times in Burai's life. He's got his Geosoken, he's got Dragon Caesar. He still has Hellfried. He hasn't lost that at this point. He doesn't have that after the fight with Geki in this episode, but he's still got that. He's got two fucking magical weapons plus a giant robot that reminds me of Mechagodzilla. He can't lose.
And the fact that he's gonna die hasn't really sunken in yet.
And golden chest shield. That's always.
That's always nice, yeah.
Well, he didn't even really believe Clotho at first when she's like,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that it hadn't really sunken in yet.
"You're gonna die in such and such hours." At first, he's like, "Yeah, you fucking liar," and then he goes out there and starts attacking cities. But there's this great moment. There's
It
this
isn't
great
until
moment.
after, yeah.
There's this great moment where he's like, you're lying to me. That candle doesn't control my life." And then she goes to like blow out the candle. And he's like, "Oh, don't do that." Great scene.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. Um, I wish he would have gotten. I'm of two minds about like this particular element. I kind of wish he would have met Clotho after he had become good, because that would have been way worse for the audience. Because everybody, falls in love with Burai in in the instance of like seeing him turn good. It's like, oh, finally, this awesome character is now finally fighting on the side of right. And then the next episode, it's like, oh god, he's gonna die. Like that's like I think that would have been great. It's a bit awkward in terms of like he's evil, and then like she tells him he's gonna die. For some reason, she gives him the Jusoken. I guess it's to get out of the room.
Yeah.
So okay, I guess it makes sense.
I think she.
But
I think she knows that he's gonna get his act together before it's all over with.
she has to, because that's Daijujin's master plan. Don't you remember, Dylan?
Yeah.
Daijujin meant for it all to happen this way. Yeah. He meant for all those people to die.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess
he's Daijujin.
I guess the collateral damage worked out a little better this way as opposed to whatever the other way would have been. I have to assume.
I guess Daijujin ran those numbers in his head before he decided to let Burai wake up, because that was his decision.
I forgot to mention the beginning of these two episodes, at the beginning of episode 21. So the Zyurangers are all weeping over a chasm because at the end of episode 20, which again was not on the list, Daijujin was supposedly killed. We learn
that was a great scene, though.
We learn at the
when Daijujin fell into the pit.
Yeah, we learn at the end of this that he's not dead because magma contains Gaia, which powers Daijujin, so he was actually able to heal from being in the lava. It's stupid. Anyway.
Bullshit. Even though the Tyrannosaurus guardian beast comes out of the fucking lava.
Yeah, so I would have always assumed that he would have been able to...
I always assumed he was fine up against lava.
So whatever. But the point is, the Zyurangers think he's dead. And we cut from that to, like, Bandora and her minions celebrating on the Bandora Palace. Ooh, we've won, pretty much. And then we get to see Burai. Basically, we get to see why Burai and Bandora aren't working together from that point on. He tries to stab her in the back, literally. And she unleashes her full power on him, like disappearing and then appearing as like an illusion in the sky, and then shooting him with lightning and blasting him down to earth. And it's one of those great moments. I love it when Bandora gets to cut loose with her magical abilities.
I love it when Burai flies through space.
Yeah, that was good.
That was fun.
All right, so yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say there.
Onward and upward.
We're gonna get back to Burai later on in the list, but we're going to take a break for him for a little while because the next few entries on my list are going to be talking about something. Episode 4 we already talked about. Number 4 on my list we've already talked about. It was Tears of a Subterranean Beast.
Right.
Number 3, episodes 28 through 31. This is a 4-parter, and this is the Dora Frank / Satan episodes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that
was a 4-parter. Damn, that makes sense though.
Really, episode 28 is kind of like a prelude to the actual 3-parter of Satan.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But I counted it together just because Dora Frank is a carryover from episode 28.
And Dora Frank doesn't really do much outside of fight Daijujin in that episode. Like, he's just kind of a background character until the very end, and then he pops up and gets turned scary as shit.
The interesting thing about episode 28 is actually not even him. It's the beginning of the episode, because we learned that I think it was Dan had gotten a side job working in a ramen restaurant, and it's explained. We get an explanation for how the Zyurangers live their day-to-day lives, like financially speaking, and it's fascinating.
We do, yeah.
So basically, Barza has been pawning off all of their ancient treasure for money, and he's been giving them an allowance of like 100 yen a month or a week or something, and they've been.
I think it's 100 yen a day.
a day. Yeah, it's a day, and they're living off that. I don't know how much like 100 yen is, so that's probably not nearly enough to live.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
So that's 100 yen a day. Um, he's giving them 100 yen a day, and they're basically using that to scrape by on. Explains why they only have that one set of clothes. And so Dan asked if he could get a job because he wants to buy a computer for them to use. Barza has allowed this. He also allowed it because he wanted Dan to learn something from it. He never tells us what the thing he's supposed to learn is. Anyway,
Good job
the
skills.
other Zyurangers find out about this, and then they all want to get jobs because they want to have more money. Everybody except Geki, he just wants to lay around the shrine and read his books. But the other three, they all go out and get jobs. That's all fascinating to me. I love seeing these bizarre characters like interacting with the real world and having to like live day to day and make.
Oh yeah, because Goshi gets a job too, right?
Yeah, he's directing traffic. I don't remember
Right.
what May and Boy wind up doing, but Goshi,
May is at a fast food restaurant.
yeah,
Boy, I don't remember what he
I
did.
don't remember Boy. But Goshi, yeah, he directs traffic, and Dan's working in a ramen joint. Anyway, strange happenings start to happen at the ramen joint. There's earthquakes, there's red smoke, there's cockroaches. We find out that we find out that Bandora and her minions are underground mining for this red clay called Dokita clay because they have learned that it can create even more powerful Dora monsters than she's had before, and golems. And they've actually already used this clay to create one monster, which is Dora Frank, which is essentially Frankenstein. And he, as we will learn over the course of this four-parter, is the most badass monster in this entire series.
Yep.
Um,
I wish that they would have explained where he came from, by the way, because every other monster they fight, they dig through the ancient tomes and they're like, oh, this is how you kill it.
yeah,
They never even try that with Dora Frank, because I would have loved it if they would have gone through the ancient tomes and been like, there was this monster called Frankenstein. Like, how dope would that have been if the Frankenstein monster was a thing in this universe and
yeah,
this was based on it?
yeah. So I'm about to transition out of episode 28 and start talking about the three-parter proper. But one more thing I do have to say about it. There's this great moment when Dora Frank, Bookback, and Totopot come into the shop, into the ramen shop, and Totopot and Bookback are actually in human form. It's the only time I think that happens in the entire series, and it's
Yep.
bizarre to look at, and it's also fascinating, and it's one of the highlights of that episode.
Yep. The guy, because Totopat is like the same, just creepier because he looks like a normal person. Because he still talks the same, where he's like, it's like
Yeah,
really
and
creepy.
Bookback's human form is like this little snarling guy, like, and like it's insane. Um,
It's the contrast is painful to watch.
so moving forward, the Jew Rangers are trying to beat Dora Frank, and they're not being very successful at it. Bandora also uses the red clay to create super golems, and they are a problem because when you cut them, they just multiply. Um, Meanwhile, shit gets bad because both Burai and Geki have been sent off by the Guardian Beasts to this magical swamp where they have to acquire these weapons called Thunder Slingers, which they can use to overpower the super golems. The only problem being that the Thunder Slingers are under the direct guard of Beast Knight God King Brachion, who fires lasers at them, and they have to work together to acquire the Thunder Slingers.
Right.
And there's a great moment where Geki gives Burai his sword so that he will have two weapons to sort of draw the Brachion's fire. And as a response, Burai actually gives Geki his golden shield. It's the first time we find out in the series that the golden chest plate thing can be transferred from one Jew Ranger to another, which becomes a thing later on. So
Right.
they get the Thunder Slingers. They're able to defeat the Dora Golems. They then also use those. Did I say Dora Golems? They use them to defeat the new Golems. They also use those Thunder Slingers to weaken Dora Frank before Goryujin impales him with his drill spear thing, and they think he's done for. However, this is when we learn that Dora Frank is immortal because he regenerates the more you hurt him, and he transforms into a new form called Zombie Frank. And this
Which is fucking terrifying.
it's one of the scariest monsters in this. It is the scariest monster in the series. Well,
It
no.
definitely is
Well,
zombie frunk.
Zombie Frank is amazing. And so,
Yeah.
new monsters. This is the first time we've ever seen a Dora monster with an ability of this grandeur and magnitude. Like he becomes a whole other monster. It's insane. Meanwhile, Bandora succeeds in planting this totem pole thing that is part of a spell to summon Satan. By the way, she works for Satan.
She
Uh,
does. We learned that in this episode. No, she invokes Satan prior to that, actually.
you remember?
Like in the first couple episodes, yeah.
Oh, you hear her use the word Satan in like spells and shit. But this is the first time she's ever been like, "Oh yeah, I work for Satan." And,
It's the first time Satan ever becomes like an actual thing that could interact with the Zyurangers. Yeah.
yeah. So after they succeed in planting the Satan totem, it seems like Zombie Frank just goes away because that's part one of the plan complete. We go into the next episode. She's got to capture 13 kids as a sacrifice to bring Satan to Earth, or Dai
Mm-hmm.
Satan as he's called, which means Great Satan. Um, she succeeds. Dai Satan comes to Earth. Everybody's like, oh no.
Well, fuck us.
um, Dai Satan then which I fucking love Dai Satan. His facial expressions are to die
Oh,
for. That
it's incredible.
that face though. I wish he was memes. He should be memes. There are so
He
many
would be the best memes.
there are so many moments in these shows where he's like mean mugging and like he just gives these weird faces. Like there's an end of one episode when they do the to be continued that he's up in the sky and he's just like it's insane.
Dillon's face just looked real serious. Oh yeah, I remember that. That stuck out to me where he was like, "Whoa." He just looked super, super intense.
Do you remember what that thing was called in Power Rangers?
Fucking hell no. I don't remember at all.
Okay,
I'm gonna look it up.
so fucking hell no, I don't remember at all. And he because I don't remember
He was a great character, Dylan. He was a solid adaptation of the Sentai.
because I don't remember what his function was in Power Rangers, and I'm very curious.
Okay,
Anyway,
here
he did you find out?
I'm looking for it.
Okay,
Power Rangers. Oh, that's Power Rangers. That's not a thing.
he actually imbues Zombie Frank with some of his powers, and as a result, we find out that Zombie Frank is not even his final form, because
This isn't even my final form.
he then becomes because before you thought Zombie Frank was the most terrifying monster ever. You haven't seen nothing yet. Because then he becomes Satan Frank. His zombie head splits open and becomes shoulder pads, and this crazy ass monster head pops out with these long ass ram horns, and there's like an image of Satan on his chest. He's the most terrifying thing in the entire series. Um,
Okay, so Great Satan in Power Rangers was called Lokar. He was a henchman.
oh, great.
He was first in the episode Island of Illusions, and he was last in Doomsday. And he. Let's see what he did. What was his purpose?
They took the big bad and made him into a henchman. That's great.
But Lokar was among the unresolved villains from previous seasons that Amit Bhaumak hoped to provide some resolution. Hexagon. Oh, whatever. This is just stupid Power Rangers fan shit.
Oh,
Just that part.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Well, it's like, oh, it was supposed to be this, and it's not this. It's like, oh, I don't care. I don't know what his deal was. He just seemed to be a giant floating head. He probably did. I mean, he was just he was locked into the stock footage they had, so he did whatever he did in Zyuranger, just with different words put over. If you think about it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Whatever. It's not really that important. I was just curious.
Yeah, it didn't really like explain what he did exactly or what his deal was. It just kind of broke down the plot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, Daisaton gives his power to Zombie Frank, who then becomes Satan Frank, the most terrifying monster in the series. And this is the first time in the entire series that you ever get the feeling they're fucked. How are they going to get out of this? They're dead. It's the end of the world. I didn't see this coming, but apparently Zyuranger ends with the destruction of Earth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in the final episode of this massive four-parter is that Satan Frank uses some sort of like he basically sprays Raid out of his mouth and it gets all over Daijujin and Dragon Caesar and basically this stuff is gonna kill them. So they send the Zyurangers.
It eats away through metal.
Yeah. So they
And if they sit there for too long, they're not going to be able to resist it anymore because they're able to resist it for a time.
right. So Daijujin tells the Rangers, "Look, I failed. You're the only ones who can save us. Go." And he sends them off basically to go get King Brachion so that he and King Brachion and Dragon Caesar can combine and become the ultimate Daijujin.
Right.
They go off and I don't remember the exact details, but they come to this thing where they all have to put their, I'm going to call them power coins. They're not power coins in the show.
They're medals. They just call them medals.
Medals works. They all have to put their medals on this pedestal and basically say what their attribute is. And this is when we learn what their actual attributes are. It's when they clearly define what their things are. And it turns out that Geki is the ranger or warrior of justice.
Right.
Ghost!
Justice!
Ghost is the warrior of knowledge. Knowledge, as it's known in some places. Uh,
As the
Dan,
kids say.
indeed. Dan is the warrior of courage, which makes sense because he's quite courageous.
He's brash but courage, indeed.
Boy is the warrior of hope. May is heart, and by that I mean she is the warrior of love. And Burai is the warrior of power. They come to these realizations. They unlock the assistance of King Brachion. Daijujin is able to reconnect with King Brachion and Dragon Caesar and become Ultimate Daijujin and use his Grand Banisher attack to totally destroy Satan Frank beyond any recognition and banish Daisatan back to hell for the time being.
As the name implies.
Yes. Grand banish Daisatan back to hell for the time being. Now, what do I like about this episode? It's one of the most epic sagas in the entire show. We get to see the big bad for the first time. We get to see Daisatan, the one who's actually pulling Bandora's strings. We get to see the most badass monster in the entirety of the show, which is Dora Frank slash Zombie Frank slash Satan Frank. We also get to see Bandora's just determination to summon Daisatan because this is the most difficult black magic spell there is. And at one point, she even loses her sight, and there's like blood coming out of her eyes. But she's so determined to.
That was my favorite element of it, is that she put her life on the line to accomplish something which we'd never seen her do before.
Yeah.
Where she was just like, I am going to maybe die
It's
to try
explained.
and make this spell work. And Barza and the Zyurangers try and take advantage of that because they know that she's doing it and try to like make it so that way she dies.
Yeah,
I forget what they
they're
do.
trying to protect the 13th child because
Right.
once she gets the 13th child, the spell is complete. But if she fails to get the 13th child, then she will eventually like die.
Right. Okay, gotcha. That was the idea with the
So they're
13 kid.
they're
Right.
trying to protect the 13th child because she's already got 12. And
I love how she clearly marked with which kid she was taking, by the
well,
way.
they had to be 10 years old and they had to be within a certain radius of the totem pole.
Right. But they left little cards outside the house that way
Yeah,
the Jew
yeah. I
Rangers
guess that's
could just run around the neighborhood for a while and find all the houses
I
with cards
think
on
the
them.
cards were supposed to be part of the spell. I'm not sure.
I think so too, but it was still really funny.
Anyway, she's so determined. And they say, Bandora, you're scaring us. You've been doing this spell for like 2 days. She's been reciting this spell for like 2 days, just standing up on her prowess going, Die, Satan, Japanese bullshit. And
I don't think it's in Japanese, dude. I think it's some made up language.
whatever. And then like I said, she loses her sight. There's blood coming out of her eyes. And they're like, oh, Bandora, you got to stop. You're going to die. And she's like, no. Because it's made clear that if she fails, she will die. She is so
That's like that moment was like the shittiest she ever treated her henchmen. She knew shit was real in that moment because she was like, "Get away from me!"
There's a
She
moment.
never talks to them like that.
There's a moment where she says, I have lost to the Zyurangers too many times. I am going to summon Dai Satan even if it kills me, is basically what she says.
Yeah, it's
So
exactly what she
determined.
says.
It's the scariest she ever is in the entire show, actually.
She gets very serious in that moment. She's not a serious villain. She's always fucking around. She's being evil for the sake of evil. She's just having a great time causing
The
pain.
two
But
most
in that
serious
moment,
moments,
she's like, I have a goal and I am going to fucking accomplish
the
it.
two most serious points we see her is when she shows up in the pilot and this is the scariest she ever gets to be in the show because even in the finale when you would expect the villain to be their scariest, then she gets all this like character development. We actually learn why she's evil and stuff, and you actually start to root for her a tiny bit.
I wish there was another episode after Kai died.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute, believe me.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things I liked about this. We get to meet Daisatan. We see the epicness that is Franck in all of his many incarnations. We get the badass scenes of Bandora putting her life on the line to accomplish this great spell and actually like going out there and being a good villain and doing her homework. And we finally get to witness the ultimate combination that is Ultimate Daijujin. So that's all great stuff. It's one of the big epic stories in this show, and I'm always attracted to the big epic stories where shit goes down.
See, I found this one problematic because I thought it was too plot driven, and that's not even necessarily like a bad thing that it did. Like it's like that's like a criticism that every episode should steer clear of trying to do. No, not at all. I just felt like the Zyurangers were being like kind of drawn along by a string, and I felt like the audience was a little bit too. Like, oh, this thing will help us fix the problem. The Thunder Slingers, new thing. Oh, no, that's not going to help us fix the problem. We need Ultimate Daijujin.
Well,
And I felt like
the Thunder Slingers helped solve the problem of that particular episode, which was the golems, and at that point they thought it would be enough to help them defeat Dora Frank because they didn't realize the depths of his power.
No, I know, and then that was that I actually put that particular episode in my original list, and then I cut it for something else. But I did like that episode quite a bit, mainly because of what was going on with Dan, and that's gonna bring me into
I just
there wasn't a
realized.
lot.
I just realized you cut the Land of Despair two-parter because you said you had too many items on your list. You could have kept it in because you only picked 8.
I know, right? Well, I don't know what the fuck happened. I have a feeling I see because I was clearing them out as we were
Yeah, you might have erased.
as we were mentioning. No, I might have erased a few. I just don't remember
Might
what
have,
they were
might have
though.
erased some
I think that's
mistake.
I think that's what happened.
Mm.
Um, but
So you
because
thought
I
it.
remember there being more.
So you thought it was a problem how plot driven it was. See, I kind of like.
Yeah, not just that, but there wasn't anything really going on with the characters on an individual level. There was nothing like what was going on with Dan in the original. There was a little bit with Geki and Burai, but it was all too quick, and I didn't feel like anybody got enough of a moment to kind of do something personable, something of themselves. I felt like everything was just kind of like this big sort of ethereal conflict, and I didn't feel like there was any humanity in it. At least enough for me.
Well, I think I would have to disagree for 2 reasons.
Okay.
One being the stuff at the beginning of episode 28, the really interesting shit where we get to see them like going out and getting jobs and shit. That's
Yeah, no, that was I liked that. Yeah.
it isn't really again it's sort of a prelude to the big story, but I still count it as part of it, so I needed to bring that up. But the
I
other
wish they brought that through it though. I wish they would have kept that as a thing that continued through it somehow.
yeah,
The
yeah.
question of the question was, you can't have a job, a normal job, because it's going to conflict with your responsibilities as Jew Rangers. Now I know they already kind of played with that a little bit earlier with Dan when he was going off to fuck girls and he missed out when all those kids and Boy disappeared. But I wish they would have been more of that for all of the Jew Rangers, maybe minus Geki because he's not getting a job. You know, I wish there would have been a little bit of like, we've got to decide if we want to be normal people or Jew Rangers. You know, I wish that would have been a thing.
But I think the second reason that I disagree with you a little bit
Mm-hmm.
is that I think this series of episodes actually has one of the best character moments in the entire series when they're standing around the stone and they come to the personal realizations of what their attributes are, what they bring to the team, and they have to put their medals on the stand and declare what it is they're bringing to the table. And it's not like there was nobody there saying, "And you're the warrior of this." They all had to come to these realizations on their own. They all had flashbacks to things that had happened in the recent past over of this last episode, where they realized that's what I bring to the table. That's what I am giving to this team. It was the first time that all 6 of them sort of come to the realization of this is why we work good as a unit. And I thought that was one of the most profound moments in the entire series. And I get what you're saying that there's not enough of that throughout the entire story, but I think it is worth mentioning that that is in there, and that is actually how they unlock the ultimate power that they have as a team, which is Ultimate Daijujin.
I agree. I kind of forgot about the flashbacks to things they had done, but at the same time, I still feel like it's a testament to it just happens in that one moment, and it feels a bit like, well, of course we've got to have this moment where they all say what they do, so that way they can unlock this ultimate form, which is what you always do in a show like this. You have everybody, sort of stick out pronounced uniquely, and then you show the big ultimate combination of everything. And it just felt like it wasn't really connected to anything else that was going on around it. It just felt like, well, we've got to form Ultimate Daijujin now. We've got to give them something to do before they do that. So this is what we'll have them do. And it didn't feel like it came enough from a genuine place of they're feeling kind of. It didn't feel like it came from a place of like they're doubting their actions and their ability to work as a unit. Maybe a bit obviously because they were getting fucked over, but I just feel like there should have been something that made them insecure, something that Bandora didn't do, something that they did that made them have to remind themselves of who they were and why there are the Jew Rangers and why they each represent that thing.
Mm.
Because that all came from. Did those all come from different episodes, or were those all happening in those episodes? Because I'm remembering that some of them happened in that multi-parter and some of them happened other episodes. Do you remember?
The only one I remember specifically what it was there when Dan realizes that his attribute is courage. There was a moment earlier in the series where they were fighting some of the super putties, and he got up and he basically said, "I will not be defeated. I have the most guts out of anyone here," and that was his recollection that brought him to realize that his thing was courage. That's the
I
only,
think they
that's
actually
the
had a
only
moment.
one. That's the only one that I remember specifically. I remember that May's was from earlier in that episode. I just don't remember what it was exactly.
I think everybody's was. So my issue was a bit sort of lessened by that, but it didn't feel centralized enough around like a story. It just kind of felt like a bunch of it felt like a bunch of really big event plot happening and not enough of like personable through line going throughout that. So not a bad episode, not a bad series of episodes by any means. Very important, very fun, very action heavy, very plot heavy, as I said, and that's not a bad thing. It makes it less memorable to me.
I enjoyed it for all the reasons I stated before. Also, it's the first time that the show ever got this dark. It might be the darkest that the show ever gets, because even the finale I don't think isn't this. Well, okay, this and the finale are right there. This and the finale are
Yeah, I would agree.
this and the finale is the series at its darkest. And I'm always
Just because of the terror of Dora Frank, though, just how powerful he is. Just like we never feel that like powerless in the face of a monster again in this show. I don't think.
no. So I like that.
I like that too.
As someone who's always looking for the episodes that sort of break away from the established formula that gets tiring after a while. That's why I really love these big epic moments. So I think that's enough about the third entry on my list. We only got two more of these, Bill.
All right, let's do it, man.
Number two.
Man, this is gonna be a bitch to edit.
I was just thinking, you think you might ought to split this episode of DFOS into two parts?
That's what I was thinking too, bro. Yeah, we're on the same wave.
I know the last episode was 3 hours, but we're like 4 now, and that's getting a little
No, we're at 4. No, this is too much. Yeah. I was even the last one after I posted it, I was like, oh, I probably should have split that into multiple parts.
I mean, I don't know. Three.
It did well view wise though, so I was fine. I was like, whatever.
I think 3 is still workable. I can watch a 3-hour video, but 4 is
or listen to a 3-hour podcast. But 4 is like that's 2 episodes, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I would.
That's 2 episodes of SOS. Like that's.
Yeah,
that's hardcore.
Yeah, and I would still like go back and see if there's any of our tangents that you can like edit out or cut down or whatever.
Oh no, I'm gonna cut it down for sure, because even chopping it up, like it's still gonna be an enormous commitment. So.
But you know definitely. What? It's an entire show. We knew this was gonna be a big thing.
I knew this was gonna happen. I'm just not terribly happy that I'm up until 4 in the morning. But whatever. I'm alive. I'm talking about Zyuranger. I'm good. I'm energetic. I've got Diet Pepsi.
Would it have been better if you had to been up at 4 o'clock the previous morning, or did it work out better this way? Would be
the same. It's the same because I have to get up for work tomorrow anyway. So.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's finish this list. So.
Let's do it, man.
While we're on the subject of Dai Satan, the second entry on my list, another 4-parter, is the 4-part finale, episodes 47 through 50.
Mm-hmm.
This is the big one for me. I'm not going to do as much. I'm going to try not to do any plot summary. I said at the beginning I wasn't going to do plot summary, and it's just sort of come out.
I think you kind of have to, because this show, there's so much happens moment to moment that you have to kind of go, well, this happened and this happened to bring up specific points. So it's fine.
I feel like in this case, though, I want to try and avoid plot summary just because I want people to go out and watch the show and see the finale for themselves.
Wait, this is your number 2, right?
Number 2. Number 1.
Okay,
let me just.
I think I know it.
I can type what my number 1 is.
Yeah, type what your number 1 is, because I have it's technically an isolated episode, but it's part of a grander piece. So if you don't have it, I'd like to talk about it. So, but otherwise, yeah, let's talk about the finale now. I'm very about that.
Okay, hold on. Let me just type you this.
No, it's cool.
Now, after I type you this, you tell me, is the one you're wanting to bring up the one right after this? Because I did want to make that an honorable mention.
Yes. So we'll bring that up when you bring it up as an honorable mention.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I figured that was it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, let's talk about the finale then.
All right, so number 2, the 4-part finale. Let's go. I'm psyched. It's 4 in the morning.
Yeah, let's fucking do it. No, it's 3 in the morning for you, you fucking.
Oh, true.
Southern piece of shit.
Actually, you know what? You're being hyperbolic. It's 2:40 in the morning for me, which means it's only 3:40 in the morning for you.
Dylan, why don't you go back to the hyperbolic time chamber so that way we can get up whenever we goddamn want.
I'll do you one better. I'll go back to the timeless room.
Oh shit. You're getting way up in your camera right now. Hit me with some Zyuranger references.
Or maybe I won't.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Yeah, it's been destroyed, Dylan. Then again, I think the hyperbolic time chamber was. No, it wasn't. It's fine. You can go to hyperbolic time chamber still. You want to go, Dylan?
Timeless room's better. You can hang out in there longer. There's like chairs and shit. Anyway.
No, the hyperbolic time chamber is better. It's literally limitless. The timeless room, it's a fucking room. What are you talking about?
True, but it's limitless nothing.
You can eat
nothing. The timeless room.
There's food in there. There's food in the hyperbolic time chamber. There's a bed.
The timeless room.
You know what's in the timeless room? Some stairs, Dylan. You want to sleep on some stairs?
Lovely Grecian columns. Maybe some curtains.
And smoke. And some smoke.
Clotho pops up every now and then. You get to talk to Clotho, who pops up at
Yo, oh joy,
the hyperbolic time chamber. Fucking Pope,
Mr. Popo.
which is
I'd rather talk to.
terrifying. Which is terrifying.
Who's more terrifying though, Clotho or Mr. Popo? Oh
Mr.
well,
Pope
shit.
pecking.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. Pecking order.
Let's talk about this.
Anyway,
Let's talk about this fucking finale.
let's talk about the finale, dude.
Again, I'm not gonna do as much plot, or I'm gonna try not to do as much plot summary because it's the finale, and I want people to go out there and experience it for themselves. This is the episode, though, so I'm gonna skip all the plot summary and just start talking about the individual points that I like.
Mm-hmm.
This is the episode where we learn, well, the series of episodes where we learn why Bandora is evil. Because this kid shows up and he just kicks the Jew Rangers' asses, and then he goes up to Bandora Palace, and we find out that his name is Kai, and that he is Bandora's son. And we learn that 170 million years ago, the reason she went evil is that Kai was killed by a T-Rex after he was being a dick and breaking some eggs. And she was angry because he got killed by this T-Rex, and then she sold her soul to Satan and became a powerful witch, and then tried to destroy the world.
Which I love the jump, by the way. We literally see her carrying her dead son, and Great Satan looking down at her, and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you evil," and she's like, "Yeah, bruh." And then it's just the jump to she's just destroying the city, or just destroying a city 170 million years ago with her henchmen. No in between whatsoever. Just
Yeah, we don't
from
know where she got the henchmen
good
and all.
queen to evil witch, and it's just like there's no in between. I would
Yeah,
like to see the in between, but
and she's queen of this tribe that we've never heard of before. So I guess originally there were 6 tribes, and she destroyed her own before destroying the others. I don't know. It's not really explained. Um,
because technically Burai would have been a prince of of Geki's tribe.
yeah,
So
he's technically from the Yamato tribe.
right,
Anyway,
yeah, right.
so we find out why she's evil, and that's really interesting. It gives all these layers to this character that we've been going through this show with.
In
Uh,
a couple of ways, she hates dinosaurs and she hates children.
and we learn why she hates dinosaurs because they killed her child, and she hates children because it's a constant reminder of her greatest loss in life, which was the death of
And
her.
she had forgotten about Kai ever since she became Bandora,
Mhm.
or ever
Well,
since she became
well, it's not
evil.
clear if she forgot or if she just didn't realize that was him until he said "mama," because all she says is, "Oh, it can't be." Um,
No, because she never even brings it up to any of them. None of them even knew that she had a son.
well, I just figured she didn't want to talk about it.
But no, but she even no. Pleplicon knows. He brings it up because he goes, "You you haven't brought up Kai since before you were evil." So one
Oh,
of them
okay.
says something to that effect.
Okay. I
So
don't remember
so
that moment, but okay.
but basically the idea is she hasn't brought up the fact that she even has a kid since she lost him. So the whole idea seems to be that it seems to be a similar idea to why Burai hates Geki. That the loss
I think Daisatan might have, in part, as a part of making her evil, given her the ability to sort of block out those memories.
Maybe, but my point is just that it might be a similar thing to Burai, where Burai hates the king of the Yamato tribe, and when he dies, he transfers his hate onto Geki. So I think there might be a similar thing where Kai's dead, that dinosaur, what is she gonna do to get revenge against him? He died 170 million years ago. So it's just this sort of basic abstract hate. Somebody's got to feel my hate and my pain. So it's going to be the children of the world who are still acting like little pieces of shit like my kid used to, but they're going to feel my pain. So
And
that
now
seems
you,
to be the
and now
idea. And
you
that's really interesting.
And now you see, audience, the parallels that I was drawing between Bandora and Gota earlier in the show, because
Yeah.
like Gota, Bandora is somebody who lost her child, or in Gota's case, children, and then sold her soul to, in this case, the devil. In Gota's case, the devil's side piece, and and it's great. And so we get this backstory for her, and that's really interesting. And all throughout these episodes, there's these moments where she's trying to, reconnect with Kai, and he's not all about that because he's been resurrected by Satan. Now he even says it to her at one point: "I am no longer your child. I have been resurrected by Dai Satan. So now I am the devil's son." That was like, at that moment I was like, ugh. And
Yeah, and she even kind of goes, "Oh, I don't like that."
he's like,
Eh,
Kai is super evil. He's like way more evil than
Oh
Bandora
yeah.
was.
Well, he's serious evil. He's
He's
not
the,
Bandora.
he's the
Fuck,
second
he's the new Burai. He's the new evil Burai.
he's the second most evil character in the show because Daisatan obviously is the most evil, and he's got a whole lot less of the wacky facial expressions going on with the and
Yeah,
and like
definitely.
all those weird moments where Daisatan just like jerks his eyes to the left, we never
Yeah.
actually get to see him say anything. I wish Daisatan had some dialogue. He just shows.
He actually talks in Power Rangers though. That's
Does
the
he?
weird thing.
He just
Yeah.
he just shows up, and I guess the idea is that he's just supposed to be. He's more characterized like a force of nature than anything really.
Hmm.
He just shows up. He's just this malevolent force that wants to kill everything. So, whatever. Kai gets to sort of be a mouthpiece for him in these episodes. Yeah, so that's really interesting. And Kai is the
Kai does have the dumb hair though, so he's the serious evil, but he does have the dumb hair to match with his mother.
true. So Kai, he's actually the main antagonist against the Zyurangers for most of this episode. Dora's palace comes down to Earth, and they get a great musical number, but they just sort of hang out at the palace for most of the action and watch what unfolds.
Well, Pleplicon makes
Dora
Dora
Taros, the
Taros.
robot, which looks like a fucking Gundam, that Kai.
Which seems to be Kai seems to be like, if you want to really beat Daijujin and play him at his own game and just make a giant robot. That
Yeah.
seems to kind of be the idea.
And I love the moment when Kai like kidnaps these four kids and has them in the cockpit
Yeah,
with him. So the Jew
and to
Rangers
be like the five Jew Rangers, that was awesome.
so the Jew Rangers can't destroy Dorotaros outright because they'll kill the kids, and they're not about killing kids. It's great.
And by the way, I love that consistency of like the kids being a primary motivator for both the Jew Rangers and the villains,
Mm-hmm.
and it lets them play with it in a lot of interesting ways. Like with Bandora's backstory, there's constantly like the Jew Rangers are unable to be heroic because they're unable to hurt children or their desire to help children. You know, sometimes they even help kids at the detriment of everything else, and they're like, nah, this is our mission, and they do, you know, and everything turns out well in the end because they stuck with their mission. So I really love all that stuff, and this has a lot of that in terms of bringing Kai in, having the Jew Rangers have their main antagonist be a kid all of a sudden. Like that's kind of interesting. You know, the innocence of childhood is sort of being the innocence of childhood being tainted is sort of like represented by Kai. I know this is like I'm putting way more thought into this than the
Oh
creators of
no,
the show.
I think it's definitely there. He is seriously
Yeah.
he's right up there with Clotho in terms of creepiness. Honestly, he's
But I even think like I just find that interesting in terms of like the end all be all villain of Jew Ranger is a kid,
yeah
a shit kid, but a kid.
yeah.
I really love that, and it shows Satan influencing him and everything. I really enjoyed that a lot. So I agree with you. All those elements are fantastic. I have the
And
same problem with it as I do the last time we talked about though.
oh, I'm not done listing elements though.
Oh, you go ahead.
And
You go ahead.
in
Sorry, I don't mean to rain on your parade, my broski.
as if the backstory wasn't enough to finally make you like not just like Bandora because she's an awesome character, but actually feel for her. The ending, ugh. So Kai dies after Daisatan has been finally defeated forever and sent and destroyed, not just sent back to hell. We see the head explode. So Daisatan's gone. That rhymed. Um, Kai dies. He straight up dies. And Bandora's like, no, you can't. She has like all these touching lines. She's like, no, don't leave me alone on Earth again. And she cries.
And Kai reverts back to his normal
He's
human self in that moment too, because Satan's dead,
yeah, he's got
so
the
he just
black
turns
face
back
there.
into regular Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she cries, and for a second I thought they were doing that stupid Pokemon the movie thing, where she was gonna cry and her tears were gonna heal him, because they make a big deal out of the tears. They like glow and everything. But he dies anyway, and we learn that if a witch cries, she loses her powers. That's a thing in Jew Ranger, apparently.
Is that what happened to Barza?
No, he
I
but
know, I'm fucking with you. I know
apparently
he fought Pandora. Yeah.
apparently Bandora like stole his power. But yeah, she
Right.
cries,
Can you imagine?
she shows like human compassionate emotions, and as a result she loses all
That seems to be the idea. Daijujin's like she felt human emotion, so that's why she's fucked.
she's lose her evil powers, which I thought it would just been a much more convenient explanation if they explained, hey, you lost your powers because Satan's dead and he was kind of the source of your powers. But they wrote in this tier thing and whatever. So she's now
I
powerless.
liked it.
You
I
did
like
like
that
that?
element of it. I like that element of it just because it
I liked
made
the
her
idea. I just thought that
it made her it made her defeat feel more emotional as opposed to she was this big evil force that they finally had to vanquish with a sword. I like that she didn't die because I didn't feel like she deserved it. I mean, she
no,
she
at
deserved
the end,
no she definitely deserved it. But
at the end,
she did but
she was
it
all,
didn't it was more interesting to see her have to really go through an emotional moment.
at the end when Kai dies, you feel so bad for her, and she's like
Yeah.
distraught. And the Jew Rangers bust in the room, and she's like, she's gonna kill him because she's angry at that point, and she tries to jerk out her staff, and nothing happens. I love that moment. She's confused. She doesn't understand why her powers aren't working. It's great. And then Taijujin seals them up in a jar and sends them out into the vacuum of space, where we get to see them hanging out in a lovely jar apartment type thing. And at the end, Bandora gets one last bit of redemption because she's talking about how much she hates kids, and then Lammy and Griforzar come in and reveal that they've just had a baby. And we see her sort of at first being like, I hate kids, but then she takes another look at the baby and she's like, oh, give me the baby. She like fawns over the baby, and so we get a last bit of not retribution, redemption for Bandora's character, and I thought that was good to see.
And this is part of the problem with talking about the show out of order, but that was also a nice callback to, and this was flashback to earlier in that multi-parter. But there's a moment in, I think it's the story arc we're about to talk about, where a couple of the Zyuranger, I think it's Dan, Goshi, and Geki go down to like hell or something or whatever, and they talk to Ultimate Daijujin about their mission. And at one point, um, Ultimate Daijujin is like, listen, here's the point of what we're doing, and he talks about it's definitely in the multiplayer we're about to talk about, because he's talking about how life and the loss of life and the rebirth of life is the point of life, and about how that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's what happiness is. It's all about watching things grow and everything, and about being supplanted and about all that. And it's all about, like, watching children grow up and raising children, and it's all about hope for the
But
future and all
basically,
that.
basically, if I may,
Yeah,
it's the circle of life,
yeah,
and it
exactly.
moves us all.
It does indeed, and that's sort of the point of the Jew Rangers, is to make sure that keeps going. As opposed to Bandora, who's like, get rid of all children, and which is the end of the
Yeah.
world
Oh, and I
essentially.
loved her moment. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this in the pilot, way back in the pilot. She has this great monologue in that where she's talking about how she wants to turn the earth into a desolate rock, and how she finds nothing more beautiful than a destroyed wasteland. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
God, you're a great villain. Sign me up for 50 more episodes of this. And then I watched the rest of it. Um,
Sign me up. He literally signed his name on the thing.
anyway,
Uh,
other great moments in this. We finally get to see the dinosaur eggs hatch. They look really shitty, the baby dinosaurs. They're terrible.
oh god, they look awful, but it's great. They
But
look like fucking rubber toys from like Land of the Lost.
But they're great because throughout the entire episode, Geki's been trying to convince this kid who's dying of some disease to hang on there and have hope. And his whole thing is he's like a dinosaur lover, and he thinks that the dinosaur eggs have been killed because at one point we think Brachion is dead, and he was the one who had the eggs. And at the end, he gets to see the dinosaur eggs hatch, and that's the thing that finally gives him enough hope to get over the disease. So it's a touching moment. It's a little subplot that was going on through those
Do you
episodes.
think? Do you think the kid was unnecessary though?
No, and I'll talk about why when we talk about my number one.
Was that kid? It wasn't the same
No,
kid, right?
no,
But I think that made the
but I
finale feel a
think
bit repetitive because it was similar to what we're going to talk about in a minute. I
true,
thought the
but also
finale,
I
but
but also
I
I
felt
thought
I
that it
thought the
was
finale felt a bit repetitive of
but
the
also
Ultimate Daijujin story.
but also I thought it was a nice parallel. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I guess, but at the end of the day, I felt like the finale was a bit anticlimactic. Before we move away from it, I felt like it was a bit anticlimactic just because you know, the ending was kind of the same as the original Great Satan arc, where it was just Ultimate Daijujin blowing him away. That was pretty much it. And then we have the good wrap up with Bandora. I wanted something like what happened to Bandora to be the way everything wrapped up, and it wasn't.
mhm.
The big battle we had felt kind of routine. I don't know. It didn't have the great epic climactic feeling that I was hoping for. I'm gonna rewatch the finale because I had that feeling about it, but I felt a bit disappointed in the way everything kind of wrapped up. It wrapped up very quickly. It didn't have the big dramatic punch that I kind of wish it did, but it did a little bit towards the end. It got there in the end, but the build up to it I felt was a bit repetitive.
There was one more thing I wanted to talk about before we move on, and that is that there's a great little moment where at one point during this four-parter we think that Daijujin, all of them, Daijujin, Dragon Caesar, King Brachion, we think they're all dead. But then Burai's spirit, because he's dead by this point, obviously, shows up and tells Geki that they're not dead, that they've been locked away in this sort of magical realm that Bandora controls. And so the Jew
Hmm.
Rangers actually, and at this point, they cannot morph because Daijujin's gone. Their Dino Bucklers don't work. They're completely powerless. They're just in their civilian, I guess, forms. And they've sort of lost hope about this at this point. They have to go into this magical realm of Bandora's without their ranger powers and save Daijujin, and along the way they actually have to fight ghosts of Dora monsters that they fought throughout the series, and I thought that was really cool. I really liked that idea. Um,
I did think that that moment was in particular what I was referring to in terms of the ultimate conflict was just kind of like, well, let's go get Daijujin back,
Mm.
and that was kind of it. You know, like they
Yeah.
just like, oh, let's just go get Daijujin back, and they just get him out of a bottle, and I was just like, that's it. Like
But
that's the entire kind of conflict of the ending. I
yeah,
did like
I
the.
get what you're saying.
I don't.
I just really love the
Yeah.
idea of them like going into this magical realm of Bandoras and having to fight the ghosts of the previous monsters. So that was
No, I enjoyed that element of it as well. Yeah,
a nice finale touch.
I
Um,
definitely agree.
so you found it a bit underwhelming. I can certainly understand
Yeah.
because I get what you mean. It's just the stuff with Bandora's character that they did is really what put it over the top for me.
Oh no, I definitely agree. It was definitely when I was writing out my list, it was definitely one of the ones I had to take off because I was like, but for that reason of like, I thought it was too anticlimactic. I wish it would have done more. But that stuff with Pandora is so good. You're right. That I think
Excellent,
it
excellent.
makes the finale worth putting on a top 10. So I also remember you also got to remember I took out stuff like that also because I knew you were gonna have it, so we would talk about it. So
Right, yeah.
I probably I may have left it on had we not been doing this video together. You know?
You were trying to anticipate what would be on my list, and four of the items on my list, or no, more than four, five of the items on my list wound up being on your list, or six
Yeah, no,
technically, or six technically because I split the Burai thing up into two items and you only had it as one. Um,
almost everything with the exception I think of becoming small you had as well. I think everything else we had together.
right. Okay. So then, is that all we need to
Let's
say
talk
about
about
the
the
finale?
I think that's it, man. I think we covered it. Why don't we move on to the big thing, number 1.
The number one episode on this list, and you may be asking yourselves out there at home, this list has sort of been building in intensity as we go on. What could possibly top the finale? And I would have to say that the only thing that can top the action zenith of the show is the emotional zenith of the show. The
Which is
absolute
why I liked it so much more.
the absolute emotional peak of the entire series. This is episodes. Why did I write 41 on Skype? It's actually 40. It's a three-parter. It's
It's 40 to 42.
episodes 40 through 42, and these are the episodes where Burai bites the big one. Um, wow, where do I start?
As I wrote, Burai dying.
Burai dying. If I have one criticism, it's that half of episode 40 is a clip show.
Yes, that was my problem as well. It's not the whole thing though, and it wraps up quickly enough, and its point was understandable enough
Mm-hmm.
that I was kind of okay with it. But I almost skipped that episode because it was a clip show and because I had to binge watch all these
But then
by
there were,
tonight,
but there
by
were,
last night. So
but there was some shit at the end that was important. So it's a good thing you didn't.
no, it was important. I'm glad I didn't skip it. I'm basically when I thought about skipping it was when it moved on from the clip show. So I was like, oh, that
It's
works
only
good.
like half the episode. Like I said, it's like
Yeah,
probably 8 minutes or something of clip show, which is annoying, but whatever. You got it. It's just Geki's. He knows at this point that Barai is going to die. Oh, excuse me. He knows at this point that Barai is going to die, and he's sort of lamenting that fact, and he's having memories of like the battles they've had together or whatever. So that's my only big complaint. Basically, the overall plot of this, I'll give a very brief summary. Barai's time on Earth is drawing short, and he's been having these dreams where he's being on a rickshaw that's being driven by the Grim Reaper, and it's taking him to the land of the dead. And he keeps seeing this kid on a bench, and we don't really know what's going on with that. Um, Also, Bandora locates the room of the time room where he's been trapped and destroys it, so that now he's trapped out in the outside world. He's only got I forget how many hours left to live, and he can't go back to the timeless room. So this is
which was badass because we got to see Barai fight Bandora briefly, which is the only time we ever get to see her do anything like action driven against the Zyurangers. Like she never fights them at all. She's not that kind of villain.
except for in the pilot and in that moment where he tries to slice her in the back in episode 20, whatever it was, and then she
Right.
knocks him down to earth. Those are the only three examples that I can think of where we get to see her like physically fighting.
But they actually exchange blows. Like
Yeah,
she they like he uses her staff and he uses his Jusoken to
yeah, it's
deflect
not
it.
just
We don't see anything like
she's not
that
just spell
from her.
casting like she does in those other engagements.
Yeah, you know, should we see her do a little bit of like some martial arts?
Yeah, it's cool. So she's destroyed the timeless room. Burai knows now that he's going to die because there's no way for him to get back to the room. So he's fucked, and he's basically just waiting for the time clock to tick down. Meanwhile, he finds the kid that he's been seeing in his dream. In typical Zyuranger fashion, he finds the kid by running around until he sees him on a swing set
Yep.
In Tokyo.
Because everybody's in like a 1 mile radius.
Yeah, again in Tokyo. So Burai finds the
And
kid.
theoretically.
He finds the kid, he befriends the kid, he tells the kid that he's the Green Ranger, and that gets the kid's attention right away because the kid likes the Zyurangers, and he also is especially fond of Dragon Caesar, and he takes the kid for rides on Dragon Caesar. Basically, Burai.
Oh, that moment was so
I
awesome.
did like that moment. So basically, what happened is Burai knows that this kid is going to die because of the what he's been seeing in his dreams. So he wants to help him in some way. Meanwhile, the Zyurangers, two of the Zyurangers.
Which kind of turns out really bad, but we'll get there.
Meanwhile, two of the Zyurangers, I think it's Dan and Goshi, right? Is them
Well, what do they do? Hang on,
go
remind
off
me.
to the place to get the water that can save.
Yeah, it's Dan and Goshi. Yeah.
Okay. Dan and Goshi, they go off to get this magical water elixir that can save Burai from dying by restoring his life to its full state, as opposed to his limited existence, which he is currently engaged in. Meanwhile, they're fighting one of Bandora's monsters. I forget which one. Doesn't really matter. Basically, what happens?
Ooh.
It's a race against time. Goshi and Dan are trying to get the water to save Burai. In the
Yeah,
end,
they're fighting the god, the spirit.
Burai is too late. This spirit turns out to be like the true form of Clotho. Like that's how I
Yes,
interpret it, right?
yes.
It's
Yep.
the spirit is like the true form of Clotho. It gives them the elixir. It tells them that there's no way to save Burai, but that they should use it to save the kid because that's what Burai would want.
Right.
So they go off to save the kid.
They totally have plenty of time to save Burai, by the way.
Yeah, but whatever. The magical. Well, even if they had come up to him and been like, "Here's the water," he probably would have told them to use it on the kid anyway.
I mean, they could have gotten more though, in theory.
Uh,
They could have gone to Clotho, unless Clotho lied to them and just wanted. I mean, Clotho could. I mean, that's certainly not out of her character. She could have lied to them just to get them to give it to the kid and even forget about Burai altogether.
true.
Maybe that. Oh, you know what? There may have been a moment where it may have been implied that. I vaguely remember a line like this where Clotho was like, "You either save the kid or you save Burai." But that wasn't said. But I remember like that kind of being implied. But that would have been a better idea than just oh, you can't save Burai, so go save this kid, and then they draw out saving the kid, and they draw out Burai dying. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of doesn't really work. But God, is it emotional?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, did it make me
So
cry?
basically, they use the water to save the kid. Burai dies, and I don't know how to put it into words how good this is. Bill.
It's really, really, really good. It. Oh, you're just like Bill. Put it in the words. It's really, really,
I'm
really
like, I don't
good.
know how to describe how good this is. You're just like, really, really. um, it's just like I said,
Well, what's good about it, Dylan? Is it the
it's
really
the show's
sharp,
emotional.
emotional?
It's the show's
Yeah,
emotional zenith. I think the only reason this is, this and the death of Kai and Nora's reaction to it are kind of similar, except that this is even sadder because
it's the heroes.
We've known Burai since episode 17, and we just like got to know Kai a few episodes before he dies. That kind of makes it different. As an audience member, you have a connection to Burai. It's sad, man. It's sad.
It's really
We've
sad.
followed
But also,
Fry on this journey. It feels like we've seen his origins and like training in the gnome forest. We know, and then he spent the 170 years in sleep. We've been following his character. We get much more backstory on him than we got on any of the other Jew Rangers. We know a whole lot more about his background than we know about the others.
mm,
Think about
I would say
it. We
we
know
know
that.
more about his life
Yeah,
in terms of like from beginning to end, though. But we know, yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. Not much more
we
though.
know more about his story. We know that he spent 8 years old. He saw his father get killed by Geki's dad, and then he ran off into the gnome forest. The only thing we don't really know is how he became a Jew Ranger. That's the only big
Yeah,
mystery. Everything else
yeah,
we
definitely.
know. We followed this character, and he just expires in front of us, and it's great because I think what makes it great is the build-up.
Yeah,
We have
it's
known
been
since
coming for a long
episode
time.
21. We've known since episode 21 that the motherfucker was gonna die. And it's been a slow build ever since then. Every time he shows up into battle, we have known that this is coming. And then it finally hits. And even though you've had all that time to prepare, you're not really prepared for it. Um,
Absolutely. Just because it's played in such a way where it's like this guy really this guy really redeemed himself in the end. And that's really what the episode does a good job of showing is that Burai has gone through an arc of a guy who was completely self-absorbed and all about fulfilling his own desire for revenge to completely selfless, always acting in the interest of others because he sees no other way to use this existence that he's found himself in. Like, think about it. He didn't tell Geki for the longest time about his situation because he knew it would destroy Geki to finally get a brother and then lose him in the very same
Yeah.
instant.
To the point where
And that is
it's
an instance of
Clotho.
selfless thinking. Yeah.
To the point where it's Clotho who actually has to tell them what's going on. And I don't remember if that was in this group of episodes that
No,
Clotho
that was
broke
way
the news.
before that.
I think it
That was
might have
way before
actually
that.
been.
That was in the Ultimate Daijujin multi-parter.
Yeah, that was actually in the one where Daisatan first shows up to Earth. I remember
Yeah.
that now.
Yes.
And that was only like 9 episodes before this arc where Burai dies. So it's been a very short time since Geki has found out that his brother is going to die, and we had that angsty episode that was on your list where he like fights the thing or whatever. Um,
The monster that restores life, yeah.
yeah,
And again, it was build up to it. This had to be emotional. There was so much emotion built into it already
yeah.
that this seeing it happen just I think it sounds like it really killed you and me. Like it really hit me hard, man.
They're
Like
only
I really felt it. But also just because everybody else felt it around Burai. So
yeah.
that's what also really helped was that all the actors did a good job. The writing was on point in terms of really making it sad, man. Just making everybody feel like we'd lost a great warrior and friend, despite all the questionable nature of his beginnings and
Yeah.
murder and more murder.
That's why it's so much more powerful
Yeah.
than what we get with even like Goda's kids dying and her crying over it, and the thing with Bandora in the finale. It's the build up. It's the fact that we have loved this character. He's sort of similar to Vegeta, you know. You know how Vegeta first shows up.
He's the Vegeta of this show. I would agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vegeta shows up and he's the bad guy at first, but you love him anyway because he's awesome. And then, like, over the course of the time, he gets together with the heroes and stuff. And then you get to the episode where he blows himself up to
That's what I was
fuselage
about to
and
say. What
food,
about when he dies? Yeah.
and he fails miserably, but still, you know, it's
At least Burai did what he set out to do in this episode.
yeah, he saved the kid, you know,
Yep.
and by saving that kid, he sort
His
of
goal was been complete. He passed. He's in that rickshaw. He's driving past that bench. He sees it empty. He's like, "Job's done. I'm out." He
I feel
smiles. Oh, that moment killed me, Dylan. Where he smiles and looks ahead and is just like, "The breeze is nice tonight," and I was just like,
and I feel
"Oh,"
like
because he's accepted his fate at that point. He's like, "The world is at peace, and I'm happy," and I'm like, "Oh, that's the moment that
I
really
feel
got the
like there's
tears
a
going."
bit of a parallel going on between the three kids in this show. There's this kid in this episode that he saves. There's the kid that Geki saves in the finale. So we see Geki doing something. And the reason I think that works for me is that it's what Burai would have wanted Geki to do, you know. And
I got you.
and then, but there's also the kid in the episode where Dragon Caesar attacks Tokyo. There's a moment where Geki saves a kid out of some rubble, and so we see this complete role reversal where now where we went from Geki saving that kid that Burai almost killed, to Burai now dying in order to allow this other kid to live.
Right. And I definitely it just I also I just oh sorry I completely forgot what I was gonna say. I had it and then I lost it, but basically yeah man,
Yeah,
Burai
good
was
episode.
sad. It was a great series of episodes. But I really okay I remember I kind of remember what I was gonna say. So just the whole idea of children being the motivations for these things was very consistent, and I liked how subtle it was. Like
Hmm.
I mean, it was as subtle as it could be for a show like this, but it felt subtle in the sense of it never had to be spelt out like we're all doing this, like we're all gonna die and sacrifice ourselves for the children, and it was always just like it's perfectly clear why I'm doing this, why I'm acting this way, so I'm not gonna get into any more detail than that. Barai was just like, this is the way I'm doing things. It should make
And
sense
on
to
the
you
one
guys if
hand,
you know me.
having so much of the plot revolving around children and protecting them or trying to destroy them, on the one hand, that can seem kind of cheap because you're putting kids in trouble in a kids show. Of course, it's going to get a reaction from your intended audience, you know. But but the stuff they do with it between this thing with Barai and between what happens with Bandora at the end, they take something that could have just been a cheap gimmick of the show and they turn it into an amazing part of Zyuranger.
I agree. I agree. Um, I'm trying to think of other stuff I wanted to bring up about the Barai multi-parter with him dying. I love the opening. I just love the opening of him having that dream. Like that was a great way to open it.
Mm-hmm.
and it immediately establishes the really creepy tone because you just see the fucking skeleton dude driving the rickshaw. Fucking Barai's just like, "What's going on, man? It's cold out. I don't want to be doing this. What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm taking you to the land of the dead." And he's like, "What the fuck, dude?
They had
No!"
adapted the show into Power Rangers, it would have been Tommy getting into a taxi and the taxi
Yeah.
driver being a skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't going to take him to the land of the dead. He was going to take him to some random dimension and just be like, "You're going to be locked there forever." And it's like,
It'd be like in the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z, where nobody ever dies; they just move on to the next dimension. Um,
I don't remember that from that, but it makes
all
sense.
throughout the Saiyan arc, man. Anytime, Nappa, why don't you go send those guys to another dimension?
I don't remember that at all. That's so dumb. It's like at that point, just use destroy. Like that's what most kids shows do anyway. It's like I'm going to destroy Spider-Man. It's like,
Yeah,
well, just say kill,
yeah.
because that's what you're gonna do.
This
You're
is
not really gonna destroy
it
him.
would be stupid to say, pack your bags, Spider-Man, because you're taking a trip to another
To another
dimension.
dimension. Pack your bags. Even though Spider-Man went to another dimension in that show a couple of times, Madam Websolstick was other dimensions.
He did.
So
I think that was in the ocean dub. It might have been in one of the many other shitty dubs.
no,
Saban actually had a shitty dub at one point. Um,
of Dragon Ball Z.
there've been tons of shitty dubs. I think it was Saban. Oh no, it was this other company. Shit, I don't remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why would Saban dub Dragon Ball Z in America? Like that had already been done.
If you're ever interested, go research like all the different like really shitty dubs there have been of Dragon Ball because it's amazing.
I've seen quite a bit of them.
We were so lucky to get Funimation. Like
Yeah,
the only one I was familiar with as a kid was the Ocean dub. I knew that was a thing, but then I found out there were more, and I was like, oh my god.
yeah, I knew it was the Ocean dub because I'd seen a lot of the Saiyan arc and a lot of the early movies that way first, so I was
Right.
familiar with that voice of Goku and everything.
That's why I can't watch Dead Zone in the recent Funimation dub. I just can't do it because I'm used to the Ocean dub of that movie, and
I can't watch World's Strongest that way. I gotta watch World's Strongest with the Ocean dub.
I prefer World's Strongest with the Ocean dub, but I need to find a DVD of the Ocean dub of World's Strongest because I've just got like an old VHS.
Word, but we're off track.
We're way off track. Is there anything else we can really say about Burai's death? It's sad because a main character died. I don't think it needs much more explanation.
It's incredibly powerful. I don't think it needs to be explained any more than that. It was insanely well built up to. It's probably the best thing the show's done. I mean, it's our number one for our top 10, so obviously. But
Exactly.
I just think that it is the emotional and action oriented core of the show. Not just this story, but just all the stuff with Burai is the cream of the crop of this show.
Mm.
Everything that it does well, it does the best when Burai is around. So I loved all that. And can we talk about the aftermath of it? Because it's 10 times sadder than the actual
Yeah,
storyline.
so now that we've talked about Burai's death, Bill, why don't you
Let's
tell these
talk about.
guys about our honorable mention? No, this isn't on our official list, but this is something that
This is on my official
Okay, this was
list.
on Bill's official list. He just forgot to mention it earlier. It wasn't on my official list because there were just too many things that sort of edged it out for me. But Bill, but it is an honorable mention, the most honorable of mentions. So Bill, why don't you tell him what the honorable mention is?
Live again, Jusoken! Oh, I actually really hard cried watching this one. During the Barai story, I just kind of got weepy. I just kind of the tears fluttered down when Barai died.
The Burai story is helped by the fact that you knew it was coming. But
God,
I don't think
yo.
anybody was prepared for Live Again Jusoken.
No, I don't think anybody was prepared to see Dragon Caesar get depressed over Barai's death. Now let's talk about Dragon Caesar for a second because he's the most interesting of the Guardian Beasts
I
because
really debated.
I don't really know what his deal is. So Dragon Caesar has seemingly less intelligence than the other Guardian Beasts. He never talks. He just seems to be like what the dinosaurs in the original Power Rangers were, just sort of like big robots that kind of have intelligence, but
Well,
they just act like big robots
King
otherwise.
Brachion doesn't get much of a character either, to be fair.
No, no, but I'm saying they're different than Daijujin and the other Guardian Beasts for that reason. Now to be fair, we never see any of the other Guardian Beasts talk except for the Tyrannosaurus. The Tyrannosaurus. The Tyrannosaurus Guardian Beast.
Right, and
I think the only other.
even then, isn't it using the voice of Daijujin?
Yeah, it's the same voice. I think the idea is supposed to be the Daijujin is the spirit of the 5 guardian beasts, and then he's the one who they come together to form into.
Right.
He's the main voice and the
Whenever
main
Tyrannosaurus was talking
presence. Yeah.
to Red Ranger, I always just thought it was Daijujin speaking through him again. And Tyrannosaurus makes up the main body of Daijujin. It's where his head is.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense that he would sort of be where Daijujin's mind is concentrated. Is
You know who's on the chest, Dylan? You know who the heart is?
yes, May.
Do you think that's the reason? Probably not,
No,
but I bet that's the reason, Dylan.
no. Apparently,
So
hope and courage gives you legs, and knowledge gives you arms.
Dylan, I just really I think it was because Dragon Caesar didn't talk, didn't have that level of intelligence that the other Guardian Beasts did.
And power gives you mega shoulder pads. I'm sorry.
That makes sense. It gives you a cool helmet, a visor. Dylan, I think it's because Dragon Caesar doesn't talk that I found him as relatable and really just made me as sad as he did, because he was just like this sad sack the whole episode, just
Yeah.
didn't know what to do with himself.
This
You
episode
really felt
really
like he was missing his compadre. He felt like he was missing his reason to live. He felt sort of alone in that moment,
this episode
because
really took me by surprise because
me
long
too. I
long
didn't see
before
it coming at
long
all.
before I ever watched Zyuranger, I knew the basics of the Burai story. I had heard it before. I knew that he was, Sixth Ranger, he was evil, and at one point he joins the Zyurangers, but at one point in the story he dies. I knew all of this from like
Yeah.
explanations that Linkara went into on History of Power Rangers, and just other places where I heard bits and pieces of what the original Ranger story was. I never knew that there was an entire episode devoted to Dragon Caesar being sad about his death afterwards. Holy shit!
It's so good, Dylan. I mean, it's just I
I think
also love how
I think
Boy
the
and Dan are
obvious
giving
choice
Dragon Caesar shit.
I think the obvious choice would have been to have the episode be about Geki mourning him, but we had already kind of had that in the previous
He
episode.
did that already. Yeah, he already had his time to mourn. Yeah,
We already,
he was done.
we
He
already
was over
had the
it.
previous episode, so this was a great way of having Geki and Dragon Caesar, who are both sad, but they have to learn to come together at the end because Geki has to basically get Dragon Caesar to understand that he has to move forward, and that basically he's taken over the reins.
Well, what I don't like about it is that Geki is a massive dick to Dragon Caesar for no reason. Like everybody is, and that's kind of the point. Is that Dragon Caesar kind of feels all down on himself because all the other Jew Rangers are giving him shit, and Barai's not there to play the flute and be on his side. You know what moment really killed me, Dylan?
What?
When Geki starts playing the flute, and he's like, that's to show Dragon Caesar that he's arrived, where he's like, and I'm just like, oh no, that's gonna kill him, because prior to that he'd been hearing it, and he thought Burai was playing it. Like he hears it, he's like, oh, Burai, and he sees the ghostly figure of Burai walking through a field, and then he looks over and he sees that it's Geki, and he's like, oh shit. And that's when Geki is like, hey, listen, Dragon Caesar, Burai's dead. I'm in control now. You better respect my authority,
Yeah.
as Eric Cartman once said. And Dragon Caesar's like, nah, he turns around. I think deservedly so, because Geki was all like, hey, Dragon Caesar, fuck you, I'm in charge now. And Dragon Caesar was like, oh, my bride. And I'm like, I feel bad for the guy. All the other Jew Rangers are giving him shit because he showed up late. And the reason why he showed up late was because, what was the reason? No. Oh, he showed up late because he was fucking tied up by one of Bandora's spells.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And fucking, they were all just like, oh, what's wrong with you, Dragon Caesar? You fuck up. Now, I do like that, uh, Geki very quickly puts together that something's wrong. Like, it's not like the whole episode, like, oh, Dragon Caesar, why are you such a fuck up? And he spends the whole episode, like, bound up and shit. Like, they put it together pretty quickly, but, I don't know, it kind of bugged me that it seemed like they were writing the Jew Rangers as dumber than they were, just to make Dragon Caesar feel bad, but it hit me hard, so I
It's
was
all
okay
because
with
they
it.
wanted to have this subplot of Bandora trying to sow dissent among the team, and I think they almost would have been better off not even including Bandora in the episode and just having the whole thing be about Dragon Caesar and maybe even the other Jew Rangers, or at least Geki, because the other ones probably didn't care that much about coming to terms with what had just happened to Burai in the previous episode.
They all seemed pretty fucked up by the end of that story arc, though. I think they all saw Burai as an example of somebody who really sacrificed in order to be a hero, because again, just think about what he did. He suffered in that room with nothing for a long time by himself, unable to tell anybody about it. And I feel like they all looked at that and just went, wow, that's another level. We all have to step up to that. I think they all respected him on a level that they hadn't before. And because he'd done something that none of them ever did, and none of them ever really had the chance to do.
I forgot to mention when we were talking before about the finale and also the Burai dying episode. I love the fact that Burai got to come back in the finale and sort of give the Zyurangers the motivation to go on. He sort of came back as a Force ghost and said, "You must go to Dagobah." No, he said, "You must go and save Daijujin so that you can defeat." And that was great. I like that he got to come back, and even after death, he got to aid in the battle against evil. I thought that was good.
He had to come back in some way, and I was glad that it was in that way, and that he was like, you have to rise, because he more than anybody else should know, rising above the odds and still coming out on top in the end.
If Daisatan had really wanted to fuck with the Zyurangers, he could have resurrected him instead of Kai.
Oh my god, how badass would that have been at the end if Burai would have been evil again, but this time he would have been really evil.
Yeah, like destroy the world, kill all the children, rape your mother kind of evil.
What if Dragon Caesar had gone? What if Dragon Caesar had been confused then? Because he would have been unsure of who to listen to. Although, you know what, they probably couldn't have done that because Geki had his powers.
True.
So Dragon Caesar probably wouldn't. He probably would have been like, "Oh, well, that guy's obviously."
If Burai had been resurrected by Daisatan, he would have come back with like Satan powers, like what Kai had in the episode.
Yeah, he would have had like a Satan Zord.
On second thought, I wouldn't have liked it because we wouldn't have got any of the cool shit with Mandora's character that we got in that episode. So
no, well, they could have done both. Could have brought them both back.
I guess, but
that would have been too cluttered, though. That would have been way too much stuff.
Yeah,
As I already said, that episode was already very plot driven as it was.
That would have been a real Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? Too many balls.
Yeah, that would have been very Age of Ultron.
Too many balls in the air. Very BPS.
Yeah.
All right.
I love, but just to wrap up on it, I love the way it ends. I love how they all come together in the end. And Dragon Caesar.
Red Ranger's most badass moment is when we get to see him take down that thing, the like ball thing from that episode. You know what I'm talking about? Where we see him and he's holding not only his sword but also the Geosoken, and he's got Burai's golden armor. It's the first shot I think that we see in the at the finale when they show the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's one of the most badass moments for Geki in the entire series. It's really him at the height of his powers when he's learned to incorporate Burai's abilities with his own, and I like it. I like it a lot.
I love the ending where Geki is like, you could continue to be a sad sack to Dragon Caesar and just be sad that he's gone, or live for what he lived for and keep protecting children, keep protecting the earth. And I really enjoy it.
You can keep being a Debbie Downer, or you can remove your tampon, get back to work, Dragon Caesar.
That seemed to be the idea. I enjoyed the way it was worded in the episode, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Dragon Caesar's little arc there. It was just really sad. It's really easy to make you feel for something that doesn't look human and doesn't talk, because you're able to make it emote more unrealistically and get some emotions out of it that might be unrealistic to portray with a person, and you can evoke the emotions in interesting and creative ways, and I think that they really played with that.
It reminded me
of... It really hit me, man. I loved seeing Dragon Caesar mope around sad. It was it made me cry. It genuinely made me cry. It
kind of reminds me of sad Chewbacca from the end of Force Awakens and how sad that was. Oh god.
Yeah, that was very sad Chewbacca-esque.
Oh god, sad Chewbacca. Anyway, did you have any more episodes you might want to mention, just as an honorable mention type deal? I had one that didn't make it into my list anywhere, but just sort of a fun thing. There's an episode where Boy goes to a ninja school. It's a fun episode.
Oh yeah, that one was okay. The one I wanted to mention twofold was the one where we had and we mentioned it before, the one where Goshi had the flashback to his sister dying.
Right.
I liked that episode because I like Goshi and I like it being focused upon him. And I also liked the episode where Goshi met up with who was called the best swordswoman in Japan. I didn't like that episode, but I liked his involvement in it because I thought the episode was just kind of boring. But I liked his element of he was trying to protect her, and there was that moment where she was like, all right, you want to protect me? Fine, but prove that you're a better swordsman than me first. And they fight in the park. I loved that. And she fucks him up, too, because she gets possessed by either a monster or Bandora. I forget who possessed her. And she's just cutting him with a real blade, slicing his shoulder and shit. Goshi gets fucked up. And there was that dumb moment, though, where he catches the blade in his hands, and he gets cut. And then he puts bandages around his hand. And then when he morphs, the bandages are still around the gloved hand,
Yeah, that was
and I'm like, what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, that was a
It
real.
was really weird.
It was one
But I
of
liked
those
that
weird
episode.
Sentai things, you know.
I liked that episode for Goshi's role in it, and his sort of maybe romantic relationship with the girl. That seemed to be like the underlying idea, but they never really did
I
anything with
think
it.
all of
So
the
that's the only ones I'd like to mention.
I think all of the episodes that I might mention as honorable mentions have already come up in discussion. You know, the Land of Despair two-parter that didn't make it on my list. The one with Dora Narcissus, the monster that's obsessed with his own looks. That was an interesting character. Um, the middle part of the sort of Burai trilogy of three-parters. Uh, those two episodes where at the end Daijujin falls into the magma. Honorable
Oh, okay.
mention
Yeah, we mentioned.
honorable mention to those. Those were fun episodes. Those were good episodes. I just thought it was kind of a lull in the middle of that trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So yeah, I mean, I think we've done a pretty damn good job.
I think we've done a pretty thorough analysis of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger.
We have indeed.
We've spent 4 hours and 36 minutes doing it, my
Maybe,
friend. So Dylan, let's
maybe,
wrap up.
maybe 5 years from now, Bill will watch Die Ranger.
No, I really, really want to watch Zyuranger now.
Hmm.
I'm a bit worried though, because Dylan, let's wrap up with general sort of closing thoughts, and then we'll fucking finally end this.
Oh, how'd you like that little promo at the end though for Die Ranger? They put a little promo for
made
Die
made me
Ranger at the end of Jew Ranger. It was good.
made me want to watch Zyuranger.
You're so lucky that that DVD is actually out. When I watched Jew Ranger, that DVD hadn't come out yet, and I didn't even know if it was going to come out because they were basing it on sales. And I was like, oh
Right.
shit, I hope that comes out because it looks really awesome.
I know. I can't wait to get my hands on that. And also Kaku Ranger, even though I'm not as excited for that one, but I really, really want to watch Zyuranger because that story just looks crazy interesting. And I'm about seeing Star Wars done in Super Sentai,
Yeah,
so
exactly, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, nice little
But
plug for
Dylan,
the DVD, and this is something that Die Ranger doesn't have, but there's an actual a special feature on the Jew Ranger DVD for those of you out there who maybe don't have it. It's from one of the Power Morphicons. It's an interview, I think, with the guy who played Geki and the guy who played Burai and somebody else, some other people. It's just a panel from Power Morphicon. It's pretty.
I think the guy who plays Burai was Katagiri in Godzilla 2000.
Do you think so?
I'm pretty. They look identical. I'm gonna look it up just to make sure. But why don't you keep? Because I didn't watch that special feature. It's like, what do they talk about? Do they talk about the making of the show or?
God, it's been like a year since I watched that special feature. I just remember it being super interesting. Yeah, it was like audience questions, a lot of it. So yeah, all your basic questions. What was it like making the show? What was it like working with that actress who plays Bandora? Because apparently she's a big deal. Um, just lots of very interesting stuff like that. If you're into like convention panels and shit like that, it's a pretty good one. So
Mm-hmm. And it's translated, obviously, right?
yeah, there's subtitles, yeah, for the.
Oh,
Oh wait,
okay.
I don't remember if they do subtitles for the Japanese speakers or if there's an interpreter in the room. I think there's an interpreter. They might do both. I don't
Right.
I don't remember. I haven't watched it in a while, but
I'm gonna sit down and watch it at some point. So it's Shiro Uzume who plays Burai. Now let's find out who played Godzilla. Who played Godzilla? Who played Katagiri in Godzilla 2000? It might not be the same guy now that I'm looking at pictures of him.
no. Apparently, he's only known for two roles, both in Sentai.
Oh, okay. Who played Katagiri then?
I don't know.
Mitsuo Katagiri. Played by Hiroshi Abe.
Yeah.
I
So
think you can kind of see how I kind of mixed them up. How mixed them up. I think how
oh
they
yeah,
kind
because they're both Asian.
of, they're both Japanese, so technically it's less racist.
It's true. It's true. They are more similar looking than if it had been a Chinese man and a Japanese man.
Now that I'm looking, I don't know how I made that mistake, but
Excellent point.
at the time, at the time it made sense. They look somewhat similar. Burai is more like has more of like a muscular face, obviously.
And you
So,
know what? If it wasn't for the eyes, Burai wouldn't even look Asian. He's got very strong features.
mm-hmm. All right, so Dylan, let's wrap it up then. I want to say a couple of closing things about Zyuranger before we finish it because I didn't get to say them over the fucking 5 hours we talked about this show.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, one thing, I find it very interesting that Zyuranger is remembered as it is, and remember really, I'm not going to say at all because who knows in actual historical context how it would have been remembered without this.
Mm.
But a lot
I
of people
think
remember
it's a bit more
Zyuranger
well known in America actually at this point than in
because
Japan.
of its. That's what I was about to say. Zyuranger is sort of interesting because its popularity is sort of reliant upon Power Rangers stealing footage from it to make it a thing, and its interest and its relevance to pop culture history has sort of been marked by that. And it's great because it's an awesome Sentai series. Again, I haven't seen any other Sentai series, but it got me into the idea of it, and it got me into the idea of watching more Sentai series. I'm gonna watch Zyuranger after this. I'm gonna go back maybe. If you said Jetman is good,
I fucking love Jetman. Oh,
all right,
it's another one of those shows where just the theme song alone hooks you. You should, God, go listen to the Jetman theme song after this. You'll love it.
I will. I definitely will. But I'll watch that one then.
It's
I'm
every
basically
bit.
gonna watch the ones that you pre-screen for me because I need the ones that are real bad. I want nothing to do with. So
The Jetman theme song is every bit as cheesy and awesome as the Jew Ranger theme song is, and it's a bit more technologically based than Jew Ranger's fantasy based thing. So it'll give you sort of a different flavor. Also, it feels kind of like a superhero series because there's like an explanation for how they get the powers and stuff.
right.
But I think you'll enjoy that.
Do they have secret identities?
I don't remember if it was a secret or not who they were. Um, I think in most Sentai, like people know them when they morph, but when they're not morphed, they're like, okay, another guy.
They're just normal people. Yeah, that's the benefit of the full
There's like an
masks,
interesting love
full
triangle.
helmets.
There's one of the coolest Sentai villains I've ever seen is in Jetman. He's a cigar smoking robot named Gray. Uh,
All right, I'm definitely gonna watch it now.
you'll love it.
But I don't know. I find that very interesting, Dylan. That this show is largely remembered for being the thing that spawned Power
Yeah,
Rangers.
because in Japan it's just another Sentai series, you know. So.
It's just another Sentai series. That's all it is. But I think it's nice that it's remembered that way because it strikes me as like the epitome of everything that's great about Sentai made really well and with a good story to go behind it and with the production quality to go behind it. To me, it strikes me as the epitome of everything that's cool about Sentai rolled into one Sentai series, and beautifully it happens to be remembered because it was the thing that spawned this insanely popular
Yeah,
American
you know
thing.
what? We lucked up that Saban chose. They could have chose a bad Sentai, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And
This one's
they just
great though,
happened to
so
choose, from what I've seen, one of the best.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly my favorite.
Certainly mine as well. Yes, I have. At some point, I got to go back and watch the 70s and 80s ones, but right now I'm really just getting into these 90s. It's gonna be when I run out of 90s shows, really, or I might watch like
I'll watch I'll watch up to SPD in terms of the Sentais that inspired them.
Yeah,
I'll watch up to
I'm
SPD.
feeling the same way. I'm gonna watch up through Deca Ranger just to see how it is. Unless Abba Ranger is like super bad, and I realize that from that point on it's all gonna be shit, then I might not watch Deca Ranger. But I am curious enough to
From that point on, you're gonna watch those Power Ranger seasons that you never watched and see if they're any better.
I don't know. Because
I wouldn't recommend.
Abba Ranger and Deca Ranger I'm really excited about because that's Dino Thunder and SPD. And then Ginga Man is Lost Galaxy. In between those are the ones that I don't really know that well, so that's gonna be interesting because I'll be watching.
I also really want to watch Mega Ranger, even though apparently it has nothing to do, has it's like completely disconnected from Power Rangers. That might be one of the few seasons where Power Rangers might be better.
Mega Ranger is the one where that got adapted into In Space, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That might
Yeah,
be one of the few ones that Power Rangers might be better.
And the Sentai has like a cyberspace theme. Like when you look at the
Yeah.
costumes, they even have like little email logos on their belts and shit.
Oh my god. Oh, that's what that's supposed to be. I always wondered what that was in Power Rangers in Space.
Yeah,
Like I was always like, why do they have like an envelope
yeah, it
as the
literally is an envelope. You're not misinterpreting that.
I know I was always so weirded out by that as a kid. Like, what does that have to do with space?
It's because it's because it's originally a cyberspace show and it's all about like sending emails and shit.
All right, Dylan.
That one's
Well,
post Car Ranger, so it might be shit. We'll see.
Dylan, the sun is literally coming up here in New York, so it's about time we wrap this up.
I
The
agree.
sun has rised on
Oh my
this week's
god.
episode of the Even Smarter Space.
The word you were looking for is risen, and I can see it. Oh my,
You can see it, right?
holy shit.
It's fucking crazy.
It's gonna rise
So
two in like an hour. So I gotta go to bed.
let's make this another hour longer, Dylan. No, this kid's face. So
We've pulled all nighters
you're,
before, but not after having a 5 hour discussion about.
no. I gotta go to the fuck to sleep. Are you kidding me? I'm exhausted. We just talked about. I just watched a whole bunch of Jew Ranger. We just talked about a whole bunch of Jew Ranger.
Oh,
Dylan, the show
it
was
was
fucking.
so Jewy.
It truly was filled with nice, Jewy goodness. All over my face now. I know. Dylan, I fucking loved this show. It really made me happy. I'm really glad we got to talk about it.
I'm glad you finally.
I can't wait to talk about Zyuranger, dude.
I'm just glad you finally sucked it up and watched the damn thing. I mean, Jesus.
Sucked it up is not the word, man. Just finally gave it a chance. Finally gave it a chance to really get into it. And
yeah, I mean, you had watched the first 5 before, but man, you just.
And I was like, I like this, but I don't want to binge watch this. And then I finally I forced myself to binge watch it. Had no problem whatsoever. That was the other thing too. It got a bit hard towards the end when we were grinding on Thursday to binge watch it. But prior to that, no problem
Only
whatsoever.
we'd known that we were gonna have an extra day.
Oh no, yeah, that would have helped a lot. Nah, not me. I would have had to watch it the same way because I had no time today. So.
Oh.
But you certainly would have. So.
I would have. I wouldn't have had to watch all those episodes at double speed.
I would have gone back and rewatched this.
Which again is like a squirrel drinking coffee and taking crack at the same time. I mean, you should do it sometime. You should watch some Zyuranger at double speed.
I'm literally gonna do that after we get off this call, Dylan.
Because it's fucking insane. But
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Watch one of the really action-packed episodes. Like watch like either the.
I'm gonna watch the finale again.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, I speak from experience. It'll be great. It's just words and actions flying by the screen, and you're like. You're having to read it like 30 words a second to get everything that's going on.
Good thing I practiced in school. I used to just like flip through books and just like get as many words as I could by flipping the page in like a couple seconds to make it look like I was reading really fast.
Yeah.
You ever do that? And then girls would be like, "Oh, he's such a fast reader." That was my dream. It never actually happened.
I did it the hard way. I learned to read fast. And it's a skill that I've sort of lost as time has gone on.
Yeah, no, I read real slow. But anyway, I gotta pee, so why don't we wrap this up?
All right.
Thank you very much for sticking with us through this. You know, I'm gonna split this up into multi-parters, probably in editing. But thank you. Yeah, oh, definitely. Thank you for sticking with us through this 5 hours of intense, hardcore analysis of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. Dylan, how does it feel to finally get your top 10 list out there, dude? You finally finished something. You finished it, Dylan.
I did. Yes, indeed. Yes. This is
not in the way you intended.
No, well, never the way I intended. But sometimes things do get finished, apparently. So.
They do.
That's
just like Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger.
Yeah, like that, and unlike other things.
Kids. Be sure, as always, to like the Sons of Serizawa Network homepage on Facebook for all things SOS related and all things Zyuranger related. No, that's not true. You're not going to see everything Zyuranger on there. You'll see this episode, and that'll be it. You can also like the Godzilla Odyssey page on Facebook, where very soon now you will be getting the early release of issue 2 of Godzilla Odyssey, our retrospective on it. So that'll be going up hopefully in the next week or two. Hopefully. That we were supposed to record that episode tonight, and we couldn't because we had to do this. So, hopefully we'll get to do that sometime next week, and I'll put it up sometime the week after that. So, like that Facebook page to get that a full 24 hours before you get to get it on regular YouTube. So, go ahead and like that page for that as well. Those are both in the description. Look out for that Godzilla Odyssey retrospective issue 2 coming soon, which, of course, will be on the issue that Dylan wrote, Battle for West City. And you can go back and watch the first episode on issue 1, which I wrote, and we both did that together, obviously. You can go back and watch that for all the context that you'll need. Dylan, is there anything you'd like to announce?
No.
Good, because I really, really gotta pee. So until next time, everyone.
Yeah, I got some plans to bring back Kaiju Spotlight. No idea when. So maybe. Maybe if you're all good this year, you'll get an episode for Christmas. I don't know.
Well, as long as I get to go pee, I certainly don't care. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not allowed.
Fuck! I can't go pee until the next episode of Kaiju Spotlight comes out. Oh man, that's gonna be a problem. All right.
You're gonna die, boy.
You're gonna die. So until next time, everyone. While I'm dying, I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubaar, warrior for justice.
I'm Super DM64, warrior for going the fuck to bed.
And I'm gonna go take a piss, a hearty, warrior-filled piss, justice-filled piss. Until next time, everyone. Dem Germans, they be fucked up. Good night.
Goodbye.
が丸くて青いことを誰だって知っているけどずっと昔はわからなか